Hey everybody, I'm Jason with Fat Fender Garage, and we are deep in the heart of Texas near Abilene. And check this out, we found red velvet at the 3T Ranch, and we're going to show you all the details. All right, Paul, so let's talk about the outside of the truck first and go over some of these little details. So, you know, when we got started on this, one of the things that I was really concerned about was that this line right here didn't get rolled over too much. And so we've kind of made that just a little bit sharper than you would have normally, you know, had mentioned. And of course, this is a stock, but you had mentioned back here when we were talking earlier, you'd noticed it in the photograph about this coming out. And so we actually brought that out 3/4 of an inch. So if you were to just, you know, peel back, you could see how flat it would be. You'd picked up on the rendering.
Yeah, just that subtle flare gives it some definition that sets it apart from other builds, but also it was really a nice touch, and I think it kind of, so to speak, the flat sheet of paper, it kind of breaks that up. It does help it.
And then with this real smooth, clean, super smooth, one of the things we're always worried about is sound, noise, wind, right, when you're driving it. And so if you'll take a look right here, Paul, I think we'd mentioned this to you. So this, we actually put a little bead on here. So when the wind comes off the windshield, it flares it out.
Ever so subtle.
Just enough so that it wouldn't come and whip right through in this. Because sometimes, you know, like up here, it's, you know, it sticks a little bit proud because of the weather stripping. We didn't want that wind to come in here and catch and roll inside and then create a whistle sound.
And here's another subtle thing. A lot of this particular gin, the hood slopes down, and you get just an odd crinkle look where they can't shim it just right. Let's clean that up and make it look good. Yeah. And then Jason decided also, and I think it's a good idea, to clean up the coil area here, and obviously no windshield wipers. We're not going to be driving in the rain, but why don't you go over that a little bit?
Yeah, well, this is a very natural, you know, look on this C10 hood right here, but it wasn't normal here. It actually stops on a regular hood. If you were to be able to look at a regular hood, it actually dies right here, but we actually took the same, more like a Camaro, and brought it right onto the hood, right onto the cowl right there. And I was staring at it one day and I thought, oh, that just looks kind of weird. Why don't we change that? And so this was in the body shop when they're starting some of the body work, and these lines are starting to get a little bit more, you know, defined, and then we decided to make a quick little change there and bring that up onto the hood. So, but another thing we got rid of also, Paul, was the mirrors. So deleting the mirrors, obviously, you know, it's nice to have side mirrors, but then we were thinking, well, how do we make these look good? The truck is so smooth, right? We've kind of shaved everything, made it super smooth, and then just to have these mirrors sticking out, were they going to be painted red? What color were they going to be? And they just
we had this conversation twice.
A lot of problems.
It's hard to really decide what to do.
So when in doubt, just get rid of it. So
and we did the flush glass.
Yes.
Got rid of the chrome.
Yeah.
Wherever possible.
Which was the challenge, because we go to install the flush mount glass, we do it with the flush mount glass, and everything goes good. And then we had a problem later as we were putting the miles on it. We could hear a little whistle right here where the glue had just not adhered quite perfectly. And so we asked the glass company, I'm like, hey, what are we gonna do about this? He's like, well, we'll have to take it out and re-glue it, put it back in. And I was like, I don't know. Like, this feels like so risky. And Jeff with CBA Glass, he comes over, he's so careful. And right at the very last, the last pull, gone. And then I was like, what are the chances you're going to get another piece of glass that fits as good as this one? Yeah. And the chances were pretty good. We got lucky. But so without the mirror, if you come over here, check this out. We kind of borrowed an idea from Tesla. And so the marker light still exists. We 3D printed this piece. We painted it white. We put some amber turn signal lights in here, so they're still there when you hit the turn signal. But also we have a camera. It's massive. You can literally see. You can actually see the whole side of the truck just a little bit in this whole section. So that pops up on the screen. and you can kind of just take a quick peek at it, make sure there's nothing, you know, over there that's, you know, going to be in the way. It actually works pretty good. It's just kind of a mind game thing. You have to kind of, you know, you look to the right, but it's to the left, and so, you know, it's it works out. But it actually works real well, and solved the problem that we had of just providing a little bit of safety. We've done them and gotten rid of mirrors, and your C10 over there doesn't have side mirrors, but on these trucks it's really easy just to look over your shoulder and see anyways. But it was kind of like just something different, you know, that could pop up and be kind of cool, and it worked out. So
let's talk about the color a little bit on some of the wheels. So we've got shot wheels, and we did their drift.
Yes,
series?
yep, their drift series. And then we've got this special color, and I want to say it's like their piston coat gray color that they use. It's actually a Cerakote color that they use on pistons that they spray on the inside of engines because it keeps them cool. And so it's a real slick, smooth finish. But we were looking for a real specific kind of gray that we wanted to complement with the rest of the truck, that we could incorporate with the grille, with the bumper, with the door handles, some things on inside that we could use that same color throughout the entire build. Because you can't powder coat door handles, you can't powder coat everything, you can't powder coat plastic, you can't do any of that stuff. And so it gets real difficult on blending colors, and as we do Cerakote, it allows us to you know, keep all that the same. One of the things that is kind of cool back here, Paul, I don't even know if I even told you at the time, but you know now, when the bumper on these, when it was installed, this usually will come up to about right here.
So we dropped it down.
And so when we put the bumper on it, I go, it just looks like the bumper's hanging like low, like off, like where it's not supposed to be. Well, I couldn't change where the bumper went because it fits real nicely on the back. And so what I did is we came to here, we cut this, and then we lowered it down. Instead of it looking, you know, real high up here, it kind of brought it down a little bit for us, which kind of cleaned all this up. And so it had more of an attractive look. Again, it's subtle. Most people wouldn't even notice that, but that's what makes kind of the back of this look a little bit different than some of the other ones you've seen.
And then Willwood came up with a great idea for Jason. When they came in to help us with the truck, they made the suggestion that we go with a red caliper on the front and a white caliper on the back.
Yeah.
So something.
Yeah, red because the white around the wheel, red, and then the red around the wheel, white, and it looks kind of cool.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, and then we got the flush mount glass in the back.
Oh.
And
then one of the other things too, you notice there's no seam here. So
right.
You guys have taken all of those seams out and just smoothed it out really nice.
And with the flush mount glass, the guys even worked hard. We even put around all the glass, it's all been flanged so you can't actually see any weird stuff. It's all filled in so you don't have any gaps back there.
Lots of great fine details that unless you saw this video, you wouldn't know really.
You wouldn't really know. And then, you know, the bumpers are all tucked in nice and tight. We've got a nod to an original grille, but it's all reversed and different looking. And then we've
printed.
It's all 3D printed. Yep, this is all 3D printed. Of course, we got turn signals. We put them right here, just for a little cleaner look. We didn't want anything. We just wanted to keep these nice and clean. And then, of course, the truck's been named Red Velvet. You know, you think of red velvet cake, the white stripes. You know, it really kind of all goes together. It's pretty cool. Well, let's look on the inside, Paul. It's red.
It's red.
It's more red. Now you had this leather for quite a while.
It's Relicate, I believe.
Yep, it's all Relicate. Yep.
We had it for quite some time, and it took me a while to pick this particular color. The headliner's Alcantara. Of course, the sun visors are Alcantara. And then leather wrapped the steering wheel, put the white center stripe on it. Got the German weave, red carpet. So red on red, it's a little shocking.
Yeah.
But again, it's not many people have.
But it works.
And yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, we kept the impact stripe look in the door panels.
Yeah.
If you take a look how it kind of flows the same way, and so you got that. Take a look across there. The door panels have that little impact stripe.
You got
even
Got the gray going again.
The
The
gray
steering
going
wheel and
again.
on the dash.
And I remember, Paul, when I was sitting there and we were going over the dash and trying to come up with a radio. And they initially were thinking, hey, let's put a radio where the old radio used to be. The guys were just trying to sell me on it, you know, and I just was like, I don't know. And so usually when I don't feel good about it, I just say, hey, just pin it. And I got to think about this. You know, I don't want to make a decision. I feel like it's too quick of a decision to make. Let's try to put the radio here into the front of the dash. Well, then it left this like big red surface, because we're going to wrap the dash in between the next vent. And so then that's where I was like, I don't think we can leave it like that. And so then I was riding, my wife has a Genesis GV70 that she drives, and I'm passenger side at the time, and I was staring at the vent. I go, this is a really cool vent. And then I started thinking about your truck. You know, again, you know, inspiration from other things, right? And so then I kind of put a straight edge on it. I pulled a measurement to kind of get the length, the width, and how much of a bend it had in it. And then I came over to your truck and I pulled the same radius. I'm like, it's very close, like within like 1/8 of an inch. And I think I can fudge the dash to make it work. And so that's how that, of course it had like some chrome on it and stuff like that. And so we took it, pulled it all apart. We, you know, Cerakoted it black so it all tied in. So that's how that actually ended up like that. Then we changed some things right here. If you kind of look through the window, all this stuff has been, you know, modified and 3D printed because the original ones just didn't look, they just didn't really look that good when we tried to put them in. And so the gauge cluster, again, you know, black, and we left a little bit of black, but then we did all the, where it would be chrome or something, we changed all that out and put it in that charcoal gray color.
Impact straps are in the seats again. And it goes down through.
Yep.
It's really, really nice.
Yeah. All right, so let's come take a look at the bed. So the bed itself, this is a false panel right here. This is not part of the original truck. So all this panel work, that's actually been added to it because I wanted to have, I don't like bringing them flush down in here because it looks a little bit mini trucker. And so, so we still want to have still want it to feel like a truck, but we also know that we're dealing with a raised bed floor, and there's a lot of these little changes that we're making. And so we had to then clean up that inner panel so that it looked like it was all meant to go together. And so then we started again with a big square, and then we go down to smaller squares on the side, just to kind of keep that little subtle look.
And then the big thing, obviously
it opens. Yeah, so
it's wood.
It is, yeah. Oh, that's right. Yes, that's
This
right.
Jen didn't have
I
wood.
forgot. These are all metal beds. I love wood.
You're a former cabinet
I'm a
builder.
former cabinet builder, and for me, it softens all the metal on a truck. And a lot of guys will still do a bed that opens, but they'll do a metal bed that opens. And I was like, well, let's just do something different. Now, so we took this mahogany. If I remember, this is sapele, if I recall. And so it's a mahogany, and then we were able to control the color and the finish on it and try to get a brown red.
Yeah.
Just kind of a little, the problem is I didn't want to do red wood, right? Just actual red colored wood, because I thought that's not going to go good. And then I thought, well, let's just try to go with like a dark brown burgundy and see if we can pull it off. And I actually really like it. I think it complements the rest of the build quite well.
It's beautiful, and I don't know that it's been done on this gin.
I've never seen one with a wood bed. It's definitely unique. A little tricky to cut it around all the little, wheel wells. Yeah, it sucks. But I end up spending for one board right here. Just this one board right here, it takes me 5 hours. To sit there,
right.
And I'm pretty good at it.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty fast. I've tried to teach people like in the past to do it, and they literally will spend 2 days on this board.
Yeah.
And then, and I'm like, so I'll have to go in and just do it myself. But yeah, so very cool. All right, Paul, so here we are. We've got this GSI chassis underneath here. We've got this door that opens. We've got an airlift, air management, and
Very cool exhaust.
very cool exhaust. We've got a lot of,
I've gotten a lot of compliments on the exhaust and how it flows up and over.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
I wanted this to look like just real, fairly simple, clean, and yet at the same time, you know, if you compare an air ride truck to a lot of others, they will have air compressor sitting here, big tank sitting here. They have all this like stuff sitting right here. And
Fancy airlines, they do artwork with their airlines.
yeah, which is great, which is all great. That is a thing to do, and it's really cool. But what we decided to do was make this like real simple. There's no visible air compressors. There's no visible air tank. All that stuff's been hidden, and it's all tucked underneath. And so then from there we took and ran red soft lines. And so the red soft line, for me, when we were talking about it, we thought, well, we could do hard lines, and then we could just Cerakote them red. And then, do you hear that noise? Can you guys hear that noise? That's a supercharger pump circulating water. I'm gonna go ahead and turn that off. But it works.
It works.
We're cycling water. All right.
We'll talk about that here in a minute.
We'll talk about that here in a minute. The engine, we're gonna save that best for last. So then I was thinking, well, red velvet is kind of like soft, you know, that Alcantara, velvety. I was just thinking, I thought, let's go with soft lines. Let's just be different on this one. Let's not do the status quo. And so we went with the airlines this way and kind of kept everything the same, and it worked. So this right here was something we added later, the charcoal canister. And so, you know, by Vapor Trapper. And so that's why you don't have a fuel smell. It's because of that charcoal canister there. So
the other good thing too is that everything is situated where it's easy to work on. So if this pump goes out, you can get to it really
right. And that is my pet peeve with all that other stuff, because I'll have people like, oh yeah, I did all this. I'm like, what happens if that pump goes out?
Yeah, can't get to it.
They're like, well, I'm just gonna.
You're gonna have to drop a lot of things.
You're gonna take the air compressors out, all that stuff, and now you've introduced a potential air leak. One of the favorite things that I like, it's pretty cool. Ready? Oh gosh,
I wasn't ready. I was not ready.
No one's ever ready for that.
I got you with that at the show myself.
You did.
Yeah.
You did. You got me at the show. I was like, payback.
Yeah, he got me. And he asked me if I was ready, and I still wasn't ready.
He's like, yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Air horns.
Air horns.
Right? So now you've got these big, massive air horns tucked on the side. You can kind of see them. They're tucked right in there, but they're all blacked out so that they don't really, you know, stand out. So, all right, so we're gonna pop this down, lower the tailgate. All right, looks like this is open. So these are little storage compartments. So you can put car care product, whatever you want to put in here. You got stuff you can store. Again, more stuff in here. Right here is a power disconnect, just to show you this right here. So if you want to kill all the power to your, like you've got it charged up, you're like, hey, I'm going away and I don't want to have this die. You can actually just kill that if you chose to, okay?
Awesome.
So you're gonna like this. You should have got a jump start bag.
I did.
Okay, right here are your jump start posts. They're inside here.
Oh.
Yeah, so you do have them there.
They are there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
This is why it's great to have you here. It was delivered and we get to go over it.
Yeah, so as we're doing the video, we're actually showing Paul all the things about this truck.
Yeah, this is my first time to get to go over it, really. I couldn't make it out, and you couldn't make it out.
Yeah.
It was delivered to me.
Holidays,
and of course, the transport guy, he knows how to start it and back it out, and that's it.
Yeah, that's all he knows.
Best for last?
Save the best for last. I remember at SEMA, I actually broke that because I pulled too hard, and then then I couldn't, if I shut it, then I wasn't gonna be able to open it. So then I had to go to the McGuire's trailer, I had to borrow, I had to take this off so that it wouldn't lock on me. So it was a whole ordeal at SEMA. I was like, ah, but all good now. All right, so this is really cool. This is probably one of the cleanest engine bays in general that I like.
Yeah.
Simple, clean, very cool, very just like really, really subtle, and I love it. And so we've got this cover made. You've got this Magnuson heartbeat supercharger on here on this LS3. We even continued, just because I was concerned about the red being so much red, that we put the impact stripes built in here. They kind of look a little bit like maybe vents or something like there, but also the impact stripe. And then we had a guy come out, his name's Bugs. He's a real popular pinstriper in Arizona. He came out and just literally by hand just whipped that right out, like seconds. That was kind of the one thing that we thought that could be just real organic.
You know, I had an LQ9 6-liter, and one of the things that you talked to me about, and I'm glad we did it, was let's just go with a brand new engine. Yeah. Everything brand new. And so we know what we got. We won't have any issues. And we put the Magnuson supercharger on it. And I think that's, for those at home who are doing a build, it's really something you should consider. You know, if you just go with something new and bite the bullet, so to speak, and have something dependable, and then you as a builder, you know, you're not questioning me about where that engine came from. And of course, an LQ9 is a tremendous block, and it's an iron block out of the 3/4 ton truck, so it's great. And I sold that engine, and the guy put it in a K5 build that did phenomenal at Barrett Jackson, actually. So, but I think I've already had this issue with a build that I have currently going on. I've had to replace with a GM Performance crate already, to your point. So something to take note of. You just, for the long run, and then actually for the value of the truck going forward, if I sell this truck later on in the future, I can tell someone, this is a brand new crate engine. Right. You know, it's not a drop-in for me.
Right, and you can feel good about that when you say it too.
Yes.
Because you got peace of mind, right?
Peace of mind.
All right, so under here we have some storage compartments. And so this is your radiator. So we're gonna fill up your radiator here. One of it is power steering, and then one of it is just an overflow for your radiator. And then this one over here is your supercharger coolant. Yeah, so this would be, and right here's the pump. So when we're hearing the pump of the supercharger, we're hearing these things down here spin. So,
and superchargers, excuse me, will use coolant. So my BMW M3, every once in a while, I have to refill it. Yeah. Especially when I push it to the max a little bit. Yep, they will. So you just got to be able to fill them up and make sure they're topped off. All right, we've gone over pretty much. Oh, this is one of the things I've had so many people ask me this, quite crazy. Where did we get this? And I'm like, well, we just leather wrapped the spring. That's all we did. People thought we had, well, do you sell it? Do you make it? I'm like, no, we don't. Yeah. But instead of having this big old spring here that's kind of ugly, and then it's coming down here and marring up, it keeps this from getting scratched up too.
Yeah. So then we just leather wrapped it and covered it all up. So one of my guys, this was their idea. Try to let my guys just have like a way of just thinking outside the box. And they come up with a lot of ideas, and they're pretty good about just running them past me really quick. And if it sounds like a good idea, then I let them run with it, you know, because this is a collaboration of about 25 people, right? Me, you, and a lot of tiny little input from a lot of other people, which helps bring it together. I can't dream up everything on all these builds. Like it's hard. Like it takes a lot out of you. And so I really appreciate that our team has gotten very good at thinking and being innovative, and because we have the ability to 3D print and machine and do upholstery, like hey, can we leather wrap this and sew it? And next thing you know, our guy's over here sewing it up, and he's just like stitching it up, and it's done. And so it's kind of cool to be able to
classy touch.
Yeah, have all that kind of stuff. So
one of the other things too I like, and I know this is probably not that big a deal, but you incorporated the backup camera in the rear bumper.
Oh yeah.
And it's,
Yeah.
you know, it's really nice and clean, and it's not coming out of the license plate.
Right.
It's not.
Right.
It's not an afterthought.
Yeah.
It's something that's really clean.
Yeah, we
and
embedded
looks
it in
good.
there. Yeah,
Embedded
it's
it
pretty
in.
cool. So, well,
Bumpers are nice and tucked, and I know Dave Kindig even noticed that at SEMA when he was going over this truck for his TV show. He said,
it was kind of funny.
He liked that the bumpers stayed and it was a good clean look.
He did. Now he's an all chrome guy, right? Generally speaking, like he very rarely does anything like paints bumpers. But they came over and they did the video, and then something was messed up, and then they actually came back to the truck to redo the video on this truck, which is kind of cool because they could have just said, well, all right, let's just do a couple more, right? But they actually came back and reshot it, their walk around on it, because they liked it, and it was kind of cool to watch it on TV. So,
and we just missed it.
And we just barely missed it. I actually was there the second time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I came back and watched it the second time. It was pretty cool. Well, the most important thing is being able to go drive this. And so since you haven't driven it much,
100 yards.
100 yards.
Let's go for a drive.
Let's go for a drive.
All right,
let's do it. Yeah, we were at Santorini and getting ready to leave, and you know, I hid my passport in the room because I don't want to take it with me and lose it. And then I forgot where I put it, so then I thought I lost it. We're getting ready to head back to Athens, and I was like, I can't find my passport. I don't know where it is. My wife is ticked. She's like, how are you going to get home? She's like, you're supposed to guard that with your life when you're out traveling. I said, well, we're going to be late. We're going to miss our flight. Like my wife, I said, well, just go without me. I'll catch up with you guys. I'll figure it out. Worst case scenario, I'll just have to go see to the American Embassy, and they're going to have to get me something, but I don't know what to do, but stop yelling at me. So anyways, I found it. And I was like, oh yeah, now I actually remember hiding under there.
Yeah.
Well, are we ready?
Ready for you guys.
Okay.
I graduated from college. My first, and I started making a little money. My first purchase was a 86 short bed, red and white. Loved that truck. The previous owner worked for the newspaper here locally. Him and his wife got married. He hadn't had it very long, had about 8,000 miles on it, so it was essentially new. I had that truck for 12 years, probably the longest I've ever had a vehicle. I was really attached to it. And
that was your first one though, right?
I mean,
kind of
first personal purchase, you know, that I kind of went out on a limb and purchased it because this was 1987, so it was only a year old. And I was fresh out of college and thought I was making really good money, but you look back and it was nothing, but that was my first big purchase, and just loved the red and white. Just always wanted to get another one just like that. Found one in Alabama. It was solid red, and that truck was immaculate. It was beautiful.
Which is currently this one, right?
Currently this one.
Yeah, which I've seen the photos, and honestly, I just sat there and scratched my head. I was like, that was actually a really nice truck.
Really nice. Supposedly I only had 33,000 original miles, which
I can almost believe it looking at the photos.
Yeah, looking back at that, I probably should not have torn it down the way I did, but things happen and it evolves, and this truck never came with impact stripes.
Right.
Had never seen a build. I mean, there's so many of these out, or there's so many C10 trucks, period.
Right.
You want to differentiate yourself from the others. You want it to look different. And it wasn't until you had a rendering done with Chris that it really popped.
And let's be honest, I wasn't even sure about the impact.
No, you weren't a fan at all. You weren't a fan at all.
We must have done 50 renderings
Yeah.
with Pinstripe Chris. And
They just didn't sit.
he actually, when I told him, hey, I need to do a rendering with a Squarebody, he's like, I'm so tired of doing Squarebody renderings.
Yeah.
He's like, not another Squarebody. I said, well, that's the problem. Not another Squarebody, right? So how do we, and so he kept putting a spin on it, and nothing would hit.
Yeah.
And so we'd kind of fall back to this, and I said, okay, Chris, let's go back to square one. Now that we've done all this, all the inspiration we had, let's see if we can just, and then he stretched it out, made it longer, brought it up above that, body line, then that's where he landed, right back.
You made a really good point. It's part of the reason why I wanted to do something a little dramatic. Oh, Paul, it's like making a flat sheet of paper look good. And you're right. So what do you do to bring out that truck a little better? What do you do to differentiate yourself? Like Chris said, I'm tired of doing those.
Right.
And this one is so much different than anything. Nobody's done anything like this. So you've got to do that. I was looking at that rendering and I said, hey, there's a little subtle flare.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't notice that, but there's a subtle flare on the back fender.
There's a lot of very subtle mods.
And I said, hey, can we incorporate that in? But I would prefer it not be fiberglass. I would like real metal. Yeah. Because that is it's a very distinctive but subtle, but gives it some definition, and it looks really good. You wouldn't
almost notice it unless you had it sitting next to a regular square body.
Yeah, that's another subtle thing about the truck that's really unique. Pete Watkins, who used to work for Dave Kindig, did phenomenal metal work on it. It looks amazing, but it doesn't stand out too much.
Yeah.
It needed something.
Need a little something.
Yeah. Without harming the overall picture. I told somebody this the other day. They were complaining about the cost of doing something like this. You'll never get your money back out of doing something like this. It's not about the money. It's about the process and doing something that's your personal touch, and that's the enjoyment out of it. You're not going to get your money back out of it.
Well, it's a hobby.
It's a hobby, and you and I saw it. Triple Crown. Barrett Jackson wanted this one. I mean, he eyeballed it, came right over to us, and he told us, we're not going to be able to get you what you paid for it, and you know that. He didn't even ask what we put into it. He just knew. Yeah. That's not what it's about. It's about the process, and it was fun, and people need to understand that. I don't think they understand what all's involved in this. The time, the engineering. There's a lot of engineering that goes into this.
There's a ton.
A substantial amount of engineering. And you and I had so many different conversations on that topic. For me, because I'm around engineers all the time, we talk about engineering. That was fun to me, and I'm really hands off. I think you saw that. I don't complain about anything. Because I know you.
I don't know that you complained at all. I mean, I think maybe when's it going to be done was the biggest complaint, but overall, it was like just a fun project to be able to put together and have it done. So.
And this is your first gen for you of this model.
Of this model. For us, we had never done a square body, which made me a little nervous because I didn't want to be like this, copy what everyone else is doing. Right. You want to have something a little bit different. And even though, it's red and white, there's still, you know, even in the white, you get outside, there's a little tiny little bit of pearl, just enough to kind of, you know, make it stand out a little bit. But
well, in the end result, where we were a top 40 build. Actually, we made it down to the final 12 at SEMA, and that's the end result. You know, that to me, that's satisfying. That's a highly competitive contest, being
showing up there,
the best of the best. And I had no preconceptions whatsoever that we were going to win it all.
Yeah.
But just to make the top 40, much less the final 12. Was great. It's fantastic. But I want to get back to the other thing that I think makes you special as a builder, and I think people should know this. Your main thing, and one of the things you said over and over again, is I want something that's timeless. And hopefully I can do another future build with you. You do things that are going to look good, not only 5 years from now, but 10 years from now. When you build something, and Jason, you're really good at this. You had that in mind. You want something for the customer that is going to look good, not only next year, but 10 years from now. And I think that's what makes it a build with you pretty special.
Well, I appreciate that. We did a truck, is gray and white C10 about 7 years ago called Elaine, 6772.
Saw that recently, yeah.
And
beautiful truck.
Beautiful truck. It was Nardo gray, white, kind of like one of the first times a truck like that. We've been with that kind of color combination, and since then it's, you know, been duplicated so many times since then. And the guy that bought it recently, we actually did a refresh on it, which is kind of a similar color scheme that I've seen, but we actually refreshed it. A lot of metallic in the black just to make sure it popped, and a little bit of a retro, you know, interior, which, let's be honest, a lot of ideas come from inspiration of things you see, right? You pull these little tweaks. And so I remember looking at the new Mustang GTD that you know was coming out. I was like, oh, I like that interior, and it just had this, like, you know, suede, fading retro look in this seat. And I go, oh, that. And so then I started thinking about, you know, this guy's truck, and we incorporated a lot of that stuff. But that's, you know, the inspiration, red from back then, impact stripes from Ronnie. You know, everyone kind of, you take little bits and pieces of you know, quality things that you see from good builders out there, and then people start to, you know, build their own little masterpiece.
And for me, the impact stripes just kind of incorporate something GM did. Plus, nobody's done one on this gen.
Right.
And it's kind of set apart.
The question I want to know, though, is why red? You have a sea of red of fun cars, and then you got gray personal cars.
I got a gray M3, a gray personal truck,
a
gray farm truck that's here. So for me, I had a black Corvette Z06 when the C7 first came out. It's fabulous, but for me, I love black. I think it would be great in a personal car. But if you're doing black, not only is it hard to paint, it's difficult to take care of, but the beautiful lines of a vehicle, the beautiful lines of that C7 at the time were just lost in that dark color. And as much as I love black, and I did this bright red interior, it was phenomenal, much like this interior, it just, the body lines were lost. And someone else, a friend of mine, Darren Pearsall, who lives in Dallas, he had a gray Z06, charcoal gray, it was a shark gray. And the body lines just popped on that vehicle more than mine. To me, red or some colors that are a little bit lighter, you cannot lose body lines on this truck in a dark color, or it's just So with the red, and even in that photo there, you see these beautiful lines that just pop, and it's the same on any of the red vehicles that I have. The red Corvette here in the background, the red 65. The beautiful lines of those vehicles they just pop.
Yeah, they do.
And so for me personally, that's the color I prefer in a hot rod of some kind. I actually have a ZR1 allocation, and it's looking really close to being a red. So.
All right. Well, it's flashy.
It's flashy.
It's a quintessential hot rod color, right? Like that's you know.
I really didn't see you do very many red vehicles. So I think this was a stretch for you a little bit.
I had done one F100, and the guy had talked me into it. And so I never did them. I was just like, oh, I'm not ever doing red. Red's, you know, it's so trendy, it's so this, and then
you tried to talk me out of it. You're like, oh, come on, Paul, really, do we want to do red? And I said, not only do I want to do red, I want to do red interior. And You're
Yeah.
killing me.
So then I jumped all the way in. I was like, all right, if we're gonna do red, let's do all red. Let's go all out red.
But I was picky about the red because this particular model, this year model, it's apple red. It's color code 072. And some of the reds now have a lot of orange in them, which I can't stand. So the 65, that when you look up the number on it, yes, it looks a little orange, but it's the color code says cardinal red.
But just looking at these, you know, the Corvette and the C10 over there, this looks red. Those start to go a little orange.
Yeah. So this particular model year, and I think you tweaked it a little bit, might have added a little metal flake to it, makes it pop even more, but it's a little deeper red.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to get away from that. I didn't want it jumping into the orange color at all. It's not something that's not red.
Well, we used a Cadillac white, so we had a little class to it when we did that. So a little bit of pearl in it, just a real light pearl. We've delivered this probably 2 months ago, believe it or not, and Paul's only put 100 yards on it since we've delivered it.
Literally.
I just found out that today. I thought he was driving it all over the place, and so I show up, and the intention was to come out here and spend some time with him and go over the truck and show him how everything works. And we sent a nice book. Roma put a book together, just trying to help as much as we could, because it was right before the holidays. And it was just like my time and with my kids and everything, it was just, I was getting squeezed. They had these programs going on, and I was like, man, I don't think I can make it out. But we're done. There's no sense us holding on to it. Let's just get it out of here. And so, but I promised Paul that I'd come out. It's a really special opportunity for me to come out and see the 3T Ranch. I've seen it on social media. You've posted some wonderful views, and so it's been kind of fun to go take the tour.
Took a tour.
It's massive. It's incredible. There's a lot of beautiful outlooks, and it was really fun to see, you know, what you enjoy, right? Like the peacefulness of, you know, getting away from the city, coming out here on the weekend and just kind of like relaxing, and it's pretty cool. So it's been fun to come out here, but also really get to spend more time with you, because we used to talk a lot. You know, that's one of the disadvantages of when a project comes to an end, is that we don't spend as much time with people that I consider friends. We've made friends, and all of a sudden you're like, shoot, it's done.
Well, when I brought it in, you had 7 builds, and what do you have now? 25? Is that what you said? Yeah. So you've grown exponentially.
Yeah.
And I think I visited a couple of times, and and I still haven't been to your new shop.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to own this place much longer either.
No,
So.
you know,
Life changes, and I've already sold this place.
Relocating it, right? I'm glad I got to come out here and at least see it before it's, you know, you're not here anymore. And then, you know, obviously spend some time with you on the truck and kind of get you familiar with all the little nuances, you know. And
yeah, and I think that's a great point to make, because not very many builders, and I appreciate this very much, there is a time period after a build. I've done enough of them where you're learning the truck, and they're all different and unique in their own way. And a professional builder should provide you some service after the sale, just so you can understand the truck. And then, you know, it takes a couple of weeks or a couple of months, really, because the only time I get to see it's on the weekends. And so if I have questions, I had a few things that I thought were kinks, and it was just me. It's our operator error. And so that's why a professional builder, someone who's truly professional at what they do, will take the time to work with you and say, no, it's this, this, and this. Because each one of these builds has their own fingerprint that you've built. And you remembered everything about this truck, and I don't know how you do that with as many. But a true professional builder like yourself, and I appreciate it, knows that the customer has to learn the vehicle after the sale. And it's going to take some time, and he's going to make some mistakes or some errors, or just forget, like I did. I forgot a few things on this particular build. I've had some complex builds, and quite frankly, some of those guys, they'll cut you off after a couple of phone calls, which I think is totally unprofessional. And it's, as a customer, people should find a builder, and you're a great example of that, where he came out here to see me, and he has people who will take my calls. You have people that work for you that understand that after the sale. They're going to have some.
Yeah, well, there's an expectation that we have, and that is to make sure that, you know, whoever we're working with, and quite frankly, regardless of the build cost, I want them to have the Fat Fender Garage service and that is, you know, we're available. I came out here and, you know, I know how many miles this thing had on it when it left. When I looked down at the odometer,
I had 100 yards extra.
It had an extra 100 yards, right? 1/10 of a mile, right? And so I was like, all right, I understand. You know, he's kind of been hoping we'd get out here and walk through it and show him some things and little quirks, right? You'd mentioned like, hey, it wouldn't air up yesterday, and you know, and it all works fine, right? But
and that was my fault.
But it's just learning, right?
Yeah,
it's just learning.
yeah, learning.
And I think we should take some time and kind of walk around and talk about the truck and go over the little details.
Yeah.
One of the unique things that's kind of interesting is the caliper color.
Yeah.
Remember that?
It's got 2 different caliper colors.
Yeah, we currently, or not currently, but at the initial onset, it had bare calipers and brakes and everything on it. One day you called me up and said, hey, Jason, can we convert these to Willwoods?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, absolutely. You know, which we work with Willwood all the time.
Willwood's a great vendor.
Great company. And so I happened to be talking to Mike, their sales manager. I said, hey, showed him the truck, and he's staring at it, and he said, yeah, we're in, but let's do red calipers in the front, white calipers in the back.
Yeah.
And I'd never even thought of that, right? I was like, okay. And after we did it, I was like, oh, that was such just a tiny little touch, you know, that it was helpful. And so there's lots of these types of little things, little hidden when you walk around it. It's kind of fun to just
and some of these builds, I mean, nowadays they're almost perfect in body gaps, but there's some subtle things that you can do here to tweak the gaps and make them better. That when they came from the factory, it's better now than it came from the factory. Well, definitely.
This was still a farm truck. They hadn't quite gotten to until you got to the OBS, right? That started to become like, okay, this is actually starting to become
the gaps are great on those,
Yeah, so OBSs are way different. But prior to that, they really were just trucks.
Yeah, I saw an old GM truck video, and the guy said, they asked him, how did you do the gaps back then? And he said, oh, it just varied. He said, somebody like on a Monday, somebody would say, hey, we're putting 5 shims on the left fender and 6 shims on the right. And that's how we did the rest of the trucks that day.
Yeah.
And he said it just varied, and that's not like that anymore.
No,
and you see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, how come there's so many shims on this side?
Yeah, but painstakingly we went through every gap and got it looking pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. So I said we're gonna get set up. We're gonna go do a walk around it, and we're gonna talk about it, and just kind of point a bunch of little things out, because there are a lot of subtle things on this truck.
Lots of subtle.
Most people probably would not even pick up on unless we actually pointed it out to them. But so, should we do it?
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed watching Red Velvet cruise around and seeing all the little details about it. We've especially enjoyed being here in Texas and guests of Paul's and seeing the 3T Ranch and everything he's got going on. Like, subscribe, follow along, and until next time, keep hot rodding.